Your 15-year-old's been staring at the same math problem since the Obama administration. You offer to help. I've got it. They don't have it, but they'd sooner invent a new number system than let you watch. That's the moment a rule installs. Asking for help and being a burden became the same thing. 5 moments teach that rule, and the kid who won't ask becomes the adult who can't. Assembling IKEA furniture alone at 1 a.m. out of spite. 1. The reward that was actually a trap. Here's how it starts, and it looks like a good day. Your kid does one thing well. A teacher notices, so they get handed the group project to keep everyone on track. By Thursday, they're doing all 4 parts because chasing Kayla for her slide felt riskier than just building Kayla's slide themselves. Kayla has contributed a title font, 2 reaction emojis, and a phrase, "We should totally rehearse." They get an A. They come home. It was fine, except it wasn't. Kayla, meanwhile, will write, "Great teamwork, everyone," heart, in the group chat. And here's the trap nobody sees closing. Once your kid is the one who handles it, everyone adapts. The group stops showing up. The teacher stops checking, not out of laziness. Your kid's reliability taught them they didn't have to. And there's a name for what just happened. And once it starts, both sides keep it going. Psychologist Harriet Lerner calls this the over-functioning, under-functioning seesaw. One person carries a little more, everyone else carries a little less. And the seesaw locks. And nobody remembers it was ever supposed to move. Because the reward for carrying it well was never a break. It was always more to carry. And that isn't even the dangerous part, because after a while, that kid stops looking like someone who needs anything at all. 2. The one nobody ever worries about. Think about which kid gets the check-in. The one melting down. The one failing something. The one who slammed a door. Attention follows the alarm. The quiet room never gets checked because nothing's visibly on fire. Nobody sprints down the hall shouting, "Quick, someone check on the emotionally stable one." So what happens to the kid who never sets one off? The one with the color-coded planner. Work handed in early. A permanent, "I'm good, thanks," which translated from teenager ranges anywhere from "life is good" to "I have quietly left the building." Nothing. That's the problem. Nothing happens to them. They found the most dangerous thing a capable kid can find. Looking fine is a place you can hide. And it works so well, it survives into adulthood. A 2025 clinical review in Cureus described what's often called high-functioning depression. Real exhaustion, real emptiness, humming underneath a performance that never slips. Nobody worries about the kid with a charger, a backup charger, and a plan. Watch it happen in real time. Parent, "You sure?" Kid, "Yep." Parent, "Great." Kid, "Somewhere no one can see. The disguise works again." Every time "I'm good" gets believed, the mask fits a little tighter until they can't tell where the capable one ends and they begin. The capable kid doesn't hide by disappearing. They hide by becoming useful. And that still doesn't explain why they'd rather vanish than be a burden. That answer got written years ago, and they never told you they wrote it. 3. The receipt they saved without telling anyone. People will call this perfectionism. It isn't. Perfectionism is about getting the task right. This is about earning a place in the room. Somewhere younger than you'd guess, your kid solved a problem and watched the mood change. One adult finally exhaled, and a small brain watching went, "Interesting," and filed this receipt. "This is what I'm for." Congratulations. Your 7-year-old just signed up for a job with no pay, no days off, and nobody ever told them they were allowed to stop. You would never agree with that equation. You'd be horrified by it. But they aren't running on what you believe about them. They're running on what they concluded. From 100 tiny moments you don't remember, and a couple you'd give anything to take back. Now, watch what that rule grows into. The adult version can't sit down on a Saturday day. Somebody says relax, their brain answers, under whose authority? They don't struggle to relax. They struggle to believe they're allowed to. That's a very expensive sentence. And once a kid believes they're loved for what they hand you, help stops being a kindness they can accept. It feels like proof they're slipping, which is why, when they do finally ask, they've usually designed the request so nobody has to answer. 4. The help they make impossible to give. There's a sentence your kid has rehearsed and almost never says clean. I need help. When it finally comes, it's in disguise. Only if you're not busy. Forget it. I already fixed it. By the time they've apologized for it, there's no request left. Just an evacuation plan with 4 exits. They don't ask, can you help? They file something so heavily qualified it sounds like a zoning permit. And here's what took me years to see. The hard part was never asking. It was believing someone else is allowed to carry what you've decided is yours alone. Those are 2 different fears. One asks, what if they say no? The deeper one asks, what if they say yes? What if they take the weight? And now you owe them a version of you that never needs this again. Because this is where the childhood receipt comes due. If solving things is what rented you the room, then letting someone solve one for you isn't relief. It's you falling behind on rent. And researchers at Columbia found what that costs. The people highest in self-reliance reported weaker social support and more depressive systems. The trait everyone praised them for was quietly starving them. So handing over the weight was never the small favor it looks like. It's them asking the question they've been terrified of since they were 7. If I stop being useful, do I stop mattering to you at all? So they don't ask. And the quiet doesn't feel lonely to them. After long enough, it starts to feel responsible. And that quiet has a cost. One that never showed up on a report card, but shows up everywhere else. 5. The cost that never made the report card. The biggest cost was never the extra work. It was the distance. When a kid carries everything, the people around them learn 2 things and stop looking for a third. They're capable and they're fine. A flawless resume for being quietly overlooked. You stop asking what they need. Every answer was, honestly, I'm good. Their friends assume they'll say something if it matters. Even you, who dropped the world for them, slowly get trained to worry about the sibling who shows it out loud instead. Nobody's abandoning them. Everyone's just responding to the version they've been shown. Polished, low maintenance. Basically a Honda Civic with unresolved feelings, reliable, quiet, and pretending the engine light isn't on. Ask them, what do you actually need? And watch them stall. Buy a few seconds, scan the room like the answer might be printed on a wall, and land on it. Kid, out loud, nothing. Kid, internally, please provide options. I've never taken this exam. Because nothing has become the safest answer they know, but being overlooked isn't the worst of it. There's a single day all of this has been quietly building toward, and to them, it won't look like damage at all. The day the receipt comes due. Go back to the receipt, the one a 7-year-old filed that said, this is what I'm for. This is the day it pays out. Their competence doesn't just tire them out. It quietly trained every caring person in the room to stand one step farther back. The room was never empty. There were people who would have carried some of it. They just graduated. One polite, I'm good at a time. From a course your kid never meant to teach. How to never worry about me. Everyone earned an A. And here's the cruelty of it. The empty room doesn't read to them as loss. It reads as proof. Proof of the thing they decided at 7, that the second they put the weight down, there'd be nothing left worth staying for. Everybody believed they didn't need anyone, and quietly took them at their word. That's the moment. Not a slammed door, Not a bad grade, just a kid, alone with all of it, deciding the distance was their fault for not carrying it better. But a rule that got taught can get untaught, and the fix is smaller and stranger than the talk you're dreading. The one thing that rewrites it. Because you don't rewrite it by sitting them down and lecturing them about vulnerability. They'll nod, and nothing changes. Nothing teaches a kid honesty like being scheduled for a serious talk about opening up. A kid doesn't learn whether needing people is safe from what you say. They learn it from what they watch you do. I'll admit the part I don't love admitting. I was the I've got it kid. Grew into the adult who'd redo work I could have handed off, then joke about being slammed like stress was weather I got caught in. The joke was safe. The ask wasn't. And last week, I heard myself tell my own kid, just let me, it's faster, and realized I was teaching him moment 5 in real time. So the experiment isn't for them, it's for you. This week, in front of them, do the thing you keep telling them to do. Hand off something you'd normally white knuckle. Say the clean sentence. I can't get to this. Can you help? No apology tour. No, but only if it's easy. Just the sentence. Let it be done at 80%. Yes, 80. The dishwasher may be loaded like evidence from a burglary. Survive it. They were never going to learn it from a speech. They'd learn it from one ordinary night when they watched you put something down, reach for a hand, and discover the ceiling didn't collapse. The math problem under the bedroom door was never only about math. It was rehearsal. They don't need you to take every weight from them. They need to know that reaching for you will never make them heavier to love. Not, I've got it. I don't have to do it alone. And if the receipt landed, the moment a kid decides they're loved for what they produce, watch. This is how kids learn they're only tolerated next. Fair warning, the comments on that one fill up with parents apologizing to their kids.